Welcome back, Sandman Nation. It is time once again to enter Sandman Sports. I'm Eric Bierman. Back with me are Pat Klatt and the Sandman himself, Bill Sanders. How we doing today, boys?
Oh, thanks for asking, Eric.
Welcome, Pat. All right. So we have another jam-packed podcast today where we're going to share some week zero thoughts. We're going to share our stone cold locks for the upcoming weekend games. We also have our top five, which last week was a look back to the 1980s in our movie review. This one's going to be more college football oriented. We'll also talk about some pools. And of course, Pat will lead us in the ever popular first thought, best thought. But fellas, before we get into all that, I want your opinion on something. So this past weekend at our local grocery store, we had a major celebrity show up and sign autographs. And I am talking about the one, the only Mr. Hulk Hogan. And I got to tell you, some people were losing their minds over being able to see this guy. I did not get a chance to go there. I did not wait in line for Mr. Hogan's autograph, but it did get me thinking. As we embark on this partnership, the three of us on this podcast, I kind of need to know, are you guys wrestling guys or not?
When I was in third grade. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
When I was younger, definitely would watch a little bit, but not a huge wrestling guy. Obviously, no Hulk.
So superstars like Ric Flair and Macho Man, Randy Savage, those don't
that was my era.
Yeah,
no, that was my era. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good, because I know nothing about wrestling. It was never my thing either. So good to know. But I'll tell you, people.
That is not how I thought you were going.
No.
Oh, God.
He had a reality show.
No,
He had a reality show.
He did.
That was slightly entertaining a couple of years ago.
I mean, I liked him in Rocky. What was he? Rocky 2. Rocky 3. He was in Rocky 3. Yeah. Thunderlips.
Here's my question for you, Eric. If you are signing autographs at a grocery store in Ohio, what's happened?
You've tumbled a bit in life. So
yeah. You know what it made me think of right away was, do you guys remember in that there's a section in Vegas, and I think it was between like the Luxor and the Mandalay Bay, and there's a collectibles memorabilia shop back there. And I think for maybe 10 years, every time I went to Las Vegas, Pete Rose was sitting at that memorabilia shop hawking merchandise. It was the most depressing thing I think I'd ever seen. It was terrible. It was awful.
As you started that story, I was gonna bring up, well, I've seen Pete Rose there, and that's exactly where you went. I've seen Pete Rose in that exact same place you're talking about in Vegas. Yeah.
I think he must live or had lived in Vegas, because he was there every time I was there. Yeah. Anyway,
it reminds me
of that feels a little depressing.
The Netflix that did the 30 for 30 broke, where they talk about all the NFL.
I have not seen that.
Superstars that have gone broke.
That went broke.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Depressing.
And they actually have, for incoming players, they have, people come and talk to them about, look, you have to set aside money. I know you want the chains and the Lambos and all that stuff, but it will be, it will go very quickly and then your entourage, get rid of your entourage, So it was
Who
pretty
was
interesting.
the big Vikings offensive lineman? There's a big Vikings offensive lineman that just Bryant McKinney. That's
I used to give him tennis lessons. He used to play tennis at our club.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's massive.
Was he any good?
No, it's terrible. But he'd bring like his buddies, Vasante Shenko, tight end, and a bunch of who's the guy? He played in Seattle, backup quarterback for a while. Tavares Jackson. Yeah,
Tavares Jackson.
He was athletic. He's pretty good, but yeah, I don't think Bryant liked me that much.
Huh.
So,
I can't see that guy playing tennis.
No. I think it was just a way to.
Feels more like a pickleball.
Was
He's
it
more of a pickleball guy?
Was he playing doubles tennis?
This was pre.
Yeah. Well, boys, let's move on to a recap of week 0 and talk a little bit about the big news there. It wasn't a ton of games, but I think the big news was Florida State getting upset by the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Not sure if you watched the game, but man, the Seminoles certainly did not look like a top 10 team to me. They were flat, uninspired, unprepared. It took us exactly one game into the 24 college football season to have a top 10 upset. Does that forebode a crazy season upon us, or what are our thoughts here?
Yeah, for me, it was one thing that I really enjoyed was just the setting. I thought it was really cool to have it over in Ireland. I don't know if you guys watched any of the ESPN College Game Day. It was just really cool. I thought that show is so good too. They just really do a great job. And not to divert away from the topic of the game, but I thought Nick Saban was really good. I don't know if you guys watched much of that, but
I did not see him. Was he good? That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, he was really good. And what's funny to me is that I don't think they probably teach this in that sort of studio show, but a lot of the time he sat there like this, and he would just start going off on Nick Saban and all his Sabanisms and everything. But it was just really entertaining, and he's so insightful. So that was really cool. The game, I was stunned. I don't know if you guys watched much of it. I watched some of the first half, and then I had to jam. But when I saw the final result, I was shocked.
Yeah. A couple things jumped out for me. Did you see the kicker? Florida State made a 59-yard field goal at the end of the first half.
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive. And then, of course, the Georgia Tech kicker, ice water in his veins, kicking the game winner. That guy got some free dinners down in Atlanta, I bet.
Yeah, 59 yards is the new 49, is the new 49-yarder. It just, who knows where they're going to go. 70-yarders will be coming soon.
Plus the mile high air of Dublin. I mean, that's the ball just travels so well there.
I did, Bill.
I mean, that's a bomb in Ireland.
Yeah, I did want to travel to Ireland after watching that. Back to my roots, but yeah, I thought Florida State defense was supposed to be hyped, and they just weren't. I thought that this kid on Georgia Tech's defense was, more fired up and more explosive than Florida State. I can't remember his name because I kind of half watched it out of the corner of my eye, but Florida State defense looked really flat. I liked Georgia Tech's quarterback. Thought he looked pretty solid, and he's got some experience. So yeah, it's good to see.
It was. It's always nice, that first kickoff of the year, man. It's back. And this week is going to be even better there are a lot of good matchups this week. I don't remember week one typically. I mean, there's always a few, but boy, there are a lot of compelling matchups, which will be fun. Last thing to me just overall on last Saturday, all four underdogs covered. I don't know if you guys saw that. So I don't know what that tells us for the season either. But anything else jump out at you from any of the other games?
Well, just the other comment I was going to make is, I think we talked about this in episode 1, but I always feel like at the beginning of the season, Vegas is still trying to figure it out. And so I tend to lean towards the underdogs early. And I think, whenever people get a chance to check out the Sandman Legend picks, they'll see that that's kind of how I was this week. But, and then there's always that adjustment period, and then they try to kind of figure things out. But, us, the betting public, I always just feel like underdogs early is the route that you want to go.
Yeah, I like that tip a lot. All right, well, let's move into this week's Stone Cold Locks for week 1. We'll each pick 3 games here against the spread that we really like in week 1. It can be over-unders, it can be spreads, however we want to do it. Going forward in future weeks, we'll do mix of college and pro, but we just have the college slate to pick from this week. So who wants to start us off this week?
Do you want all 3?
Pat?
No, just start with 1.
Start with 1?
Let's just do your first one, Pat.
All right.
Yeah.
My first one, I went North Carolina, lay in the 1.5. I want to be wrong here.
Against your Golden Gophers?
Yeah, I want to be wrong here, but I picked North Carolina to be outside from my team outside of the top 25 to creep inside the top 25 and possibly make the top 12. So I have to stick with that. And also got a fortune cookie yesterday at Leanne Chin's that said North Carolina will win and cover. It's weird. It's like so exact.
What a timely fortune cookie. Yeah. So that's incredible. Mm-hmm. My first one, guys, is this is heading back into Bierman's beloved backyard. And so I was looking at the line for Fresno State at Michigan, and I was not loving the line of that game in terms of the spread. But what I did seem to keep coming back to for my first Stone Cold Lock was the under. So that I found that line at 45.5. And some of my rationale there is that, I don't think Fresno State will be able to run the ball. I think Bierman brought this up in episode 1. In fact, that Michigan's defense is going to be really good again this year. So with all the changes and all the turmoil and everything that's going on, we can just market that Michigan's D is going to be good. I don't see Fresno State really moving the ball on the ground. They're good, dink and dunk. They got a veteran, experienced quarterback. And then Michigan, obviously, they have some consistency in coaching staff, coming through. But I just think early on with the new quarterback, they may struggle to put up a bunch of points. I still see them winning this game super comfortably, but I like that under 45.5.
I love that. That was not on my radar, but that all makes a lot of sense, Bill. I don't think Fresno State's going to score a lot. I don't think Michigan's going to have as an explosive as an offense as they did last year, with obviously lost McCarthy and Corum and a lot of other firepower. I think eventually they might as they get comfortable, but week 1, I think they're going to be a little rusty. I like that pick a lot.
Nice. Bierman, what do you have for your first?
All right. So as mentioned in my preseason preview article, I am not buying into Deion Sanders and the Colorado hype this year, and that absolutely extends to this game. North Dakota State, they have won 9 FCS championships in the past 13 years. They're currently ranked number 2 in the FCS. Yes, they lose their coach, who's been Matt Entz, who's been coaching there since 2019. He went to USC to help shore up their defense, but they're going to be fine under new coach Tim Polsak. This year, they have what I think is the best defense in the FCS, certainly top 5. They have a 5-year starting quarterback of Cam Miller. They do split quarterbacks at times. They bring in another guy, but Cam Miller is going to bring a lot of stability, calm, not going to be rattled. Listen to this, guys. They have won 6 straight games. North Dakota State has won 6 straight games against the FBS dating back to 2010, including a notable win over Iowa, number 13 Iowa in 2016. The elevation is always something to think about in Boulder. And Colorado does have speed. They do have athleticism. That certainly pose some concerns for me. But 9.5 is a big spread, and I feel real comfortable about the Bison keeping it close.
But not winning?
I like it.
You're not calling the upset?
I'm not going to call
gone
the
this
upset.
far,
I
Eric.
actually
Just do
think
it.
I think there's going to be a little late game magic from Shedeur.
Fun.
I actually see Colorado winning the game, but I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to come down to the end.
All right, my second one.
All right, Pat. Go ahead.
My second one, I went with ASU laying the 6.5 against Wyoming. I feel like, and here's why. A lot of people think I don't do my research, Eric, but I actually did a little research for this.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
Because you're always judging. You're judging me. I can tell. So here's my research, and this is good research. It's going to be 106 degrees in Arizona on Saturday. Now, it's at night game, so it'll cool down a little bit. But I also read on myplan.com that ASU student body is the 6th most attractive in the nation. Okay. We're talking the ladies, Eric. For 13. These guys from Wyoming, these country bumpkins, are going to go down there and they won't even be able to focus. It's going to be hot as balls. And the ladies are going to be looking nice, life's hot, less clothes. These kids won't be able to focus. My reasoning is pretty sound. All right. And I think these Arizona State kids, they're going to want to score some TDs and then possibly later see some TDs. You know what I'm saying? So ASU wins, covers, blows them out. It's pretty good.
Like
you just don't get analysis like that in any other podcast.
It's gonna happen.
Is bringing it, Pat.
Hard hitting.
Yeah. I love it. Put your money on Arizona State. It's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
My game 2 is I went to the stuck with the under. Again, kind of early in the season, I feel like as well, maybe the defenses might be a little bit ahead, and so I was looking at the Colorado State at Texas game, and that spread is big. I want to say it was like 32 or somewhere around there. And I just didn't love that, but I was looking at that under 60.5. I just don't see Colorado State doing much on Texas defense. And it's very similar to what I just said in my first Stone Cold Lock. I think Texas is going to put up a bunch of points. It just may or may not be enough to cover. That 60 points felt really, really big. I think Colorado State puts up a good fight early, but Texas pulls away late, and that game's out of hand. And maybe they even let off the gas a little bit there, keep it under 60.5.
I like it. All right, this one just jumped out at me, and it's a little counterintuitive, but I love the under of 63.5 in one of the premier games of the weekend, LSU versus USC in Las Vegas. Yes, both teams boasted extremely explosive offenses last year. USC finished third, LSU sixth in total offensive rankings, and both had putrid defenses. Well, let's start with the offenses. They both lost their, the top two draft picks in the NFL, respectively, came from USC and LSU, in Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Those both are gone. Both teams, I believe, are going to face some challenges in finding the rhythm and just establishing their identity here early in the season. Additionally, both teams made what I believe are significant efforts to shore up their defense. USC, Lincoln Riley brought in new defensive coordinator, added a lot of talent through the transfer portal, strong recruiting class. I really like what he's done, especially at linebacker and in the secondary. And then similarly with LSU, Brian Kelly brought in a lot of help on the defense as well. I do expect a close competitive game. I think there's certainly going to be some explosive plays, but I think it's going to be lower scoring than what both teams did last year. I expect 28-24, which still leaves a very nice cushion for us with the under.
I like that. I actually like that spread. I had that kind of on my radar.
Okay.
For that game.
Like which team?
I like LSU, and it's because I'm anti-USC. So similar research to Pat in terms of the hotness of the women. Mine was more around I just hate Lincoln Riley and USC, but I'm not a huge Brian Kelly guy either. So, that's a tough one for me. But I like LSU in that game.
I could tell you where USC ranks.
Yeah, let's hear where they're at in the top 10.
USC is number 12 as far as the attractive student 10. Body. I don't see.
Do we have the Gophers on that list?
No chance. Nope.
Ouch.
All right, what do you got for a third, Pat?
All right, I went with Western Michigan covering in Madison. I feel like 24.5 is a large number. Here's my thought behind this. I feel like the Badgers, I feel like, are a program in decline. They aren't blowing out teams like they were back in like 2016, 17. They tend to every year be in closer games. So I feel like that. And again, I don't know if you remember what it was like being a freshman or just going into fall in college, but the atmosphere, especially in Madison, where drinking is omnipresent and there's so much booze and sexual energy in the air in week one, that it's just going to be so difficult for these kids from Madison to put their foot down. If they get ahead early, they're going to be looking off in the stands, checking out the ladies. You're going to be thinking about the kegger that they're going to go to later. And I just don't think they're going to have their minds focused on, their mind's not going to be focused on football. It's going to be, is Mary Jane Rottencrotch going to be at the kegger later tonight?
Bill, have you been there?
I've never been. One thing that I don't understand is the hatred between Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Oh, it's not
better dead than red or all that stuff. It's for me, it's foreign, so I don't get it. I get the Ohio State, Michigan stuff or whatever, but it's like Minnesota's never even really been that good at football.
Exactly.
So why is it such
It's not a relevant thing. It's trying to create a rivalry that's not there. My brother went to Wisconsin, so he's 8 years older than me. So when I was young, I would go to Camp Randall, and I remember watching them play Michigan and Charles Woodson, and the atmosphere is just so cool. But then they didn't let me into their school, so I'm anti-Badgers, and that's why they're going to lose.
I like it.
All right. So we like the underdog there because of the Saturday Night Kegger. I love it.
Saturday Night Keggers.
All right.
My third one, I decided to actually put a little 2-team parlay in play here.
Let's hear it.
Save the best for last. So the game I was looking at was New Mexico at Arizona. Here's the thing, guys, that I love about the Wildcats this week. They are a team that's going to be angry. They're a team that returns a ton of experience and a ton of good players. They had a program on the rise. Their head coach, Jed Fish, left for my beloved Huskies, but they still have arguably the two best the quarterback wide receiver combo is still there, and they are dynamic. They're going to throw a ton of points on New Mexico, who last week lost to Montana State. I mean, I didn't even realize that until I actually looked at, I was like, what? They lost 35-31 to Montana State.
I didn't even know Montana had a state. Montana's a state?
New Mexico's reeling. Arizona's an angry program. They're looking to put a stamp on things. I love Arizona minus 31.5, and I love the over 58.5. I think Arizona might cover that spread on their own. This is an absolute blowout, bunch of points, huge rout, Arizona home game. I love the Wildcats here. Big.
No love for the Lobos, I hear. All right. That all makes sense to me.
Bierman, what do you got for your last one?
All right, boys. I am all in on this one. I love this one. I am on board with Mr. Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers this season. I expect big things from them. They were 5-7 last year. Do you guys realize they were they lost 3 games? Excuse me, they lost 4 games by 3 points and 1 game by 7 points. 5 games within 1 score. Rule, it's interesting. This is his second year. He has a track record of his first year at a new school still being bad. His second year turns it around at both Temple and Baylor. This year, he brings in all-world Dylan Raiola, who I believe is going to start immediately. He's going to provide just an incredible boost to this offense. The team is much tougher under Rule's discipline. They are eager, the team, the fans. Fans are going to be so loud, some of the best fans in the country. They are eager to prove that this team is back on the right track. On the other side, the Miners of UTEP, they are coming off a really bad 3-9 season. They have low expectations. They have a new head coach. They're traveling to Lincoln, not an easy place to play. This team finished 117 out of 131 in offense last season. Their defense wasn't much better. They're going to struggle a lot against the bigger, stronger Cornhuskers. Nebraska's clawing their way back to the top. They're going to set the tone here, fellas, with a runaway victory. Lay the points, rest easy, Cornhuskers cruise.
That one sounds good to me.
All right, well, those were our stone cold locks. Go make some money, people. Especially Pats, I'm telling you. The Arizona State one, I love it. Those hotties, man.
It's
fact. That is easy money.
Yep.
It is a fact. Book it. All right. So want to just spend a little bit of time here, guys. College football season opens really this week for sure with week 1. A lot of great games. What jumps out at you for the season? Is there a question that you want answered this season? Is there something that intrigues you to see? Not necessarily in week 1, just as the season unfolds. What's on your mind in terms of 2024 college football?
I'll lead this one off.
Okay.
So this may or may not be of huge interest to the whole country, but I tell you what, as a West Coast guy, a guy who grew up in the Pac-10 and Pac-12, it is just one of the most depressing things I can remember in my college sports fandom to see the conference dissolve. And I'm really curious to see this year what happens with the now Pac-12. You've got the Oregon State Beavers and the Washington State Cougars, and do they end up joining the Mountain West? Does the Mountain West end up becoming the Pac-12? Obviously, a lot of things still yet to be decided there, and money will probably rule the day, as we know, whether it be television broadcast rights, etc. But it's just really sad, guys. I mean, again, I don't know if the rest of the country feels this as much, but you grow up and you think about all those great rivalries and all those great games and the moments, and maybe it's a time spent with your dad at the stadium at the Apple Cup for us or something like that. And all those things just kind of feel like they're ripped away. And then you have these two great fan bases, the Cougars and the Beavers. Lots of tailgates spent at Husky Stadium with those two fan bases. Just great people, great sports fans, and they're just left out in the cold. And it just doesn't sit right with me that that's what's happened this year. And so I'm just really curious. I hope those two programs land on their feet. They have a big road to hoe here. It's going to be really difficult for them to get back to relevance. I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are, being a little bit further east, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm really curious to see what happens, and I'm rooting for those guys.
Yeah, I thought
I've not been following. Go ahead, Pat.
Well, I just think Oregon State. I mean, they've been coming up the last couple of years. I mean, what's that going to do for them with transfer portals, and no one's going to want to play for a team that really doesn't have a conference. And I hate change. I hate the change, but I think it's weird that you can have like Rutgers and Oregon, two completely different coasts of the United States, be in the same conference. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I've not been following it as closely, Bill, certainly as you have with those two teams for sure. But my heart does go out to those fan bases, because I can only imagine you're in a solid conference for years and years, Pac-10, Pac-12, get to play these great teams, great rivalries, and now you are tasked with a couple options, and they all suck right now. It is stay kind of independent. I guess technically right now they are still the Pac-12. They still have that name, but they can either stay independent, which other than Notre Dame, that's not going to work out for any team. They can go into the Mountain West. Perhaps I've heard the Mountain West isn't even sure that they want to do that. I think the thing they really wanted to do was bring a lot of Mountain West teams into the Pac-12 and keep that name, which I think would be cool. I think would dilute a little bit of how we think of that brand. But maybe an ACC does try and bring them in at some point, or a Big 12. I don't think the Big 10 or SEC will, but I don't know. But I think that's a long shot too. It does not look good for them, and that's sad.
It is, and I'll let you guys get to your intriguing questions, but just the other thing I'd throw in there real quick is, as such a fan of college sports, not just college football, is kind of to Pat's point, how in the world do they expect this to work when you're talking about a college women's soccer team, or you name the non-revenue sports, if you will, traveling to Rutgers from Washington to play a Tuesday soccer game? It just makes no sense for college student athletes. And so, anyway, it'll be really interesting to see how this shakes out. Whether we're heading towards two super conferences or not, it's just a real shame for those fan bases. So that one, I'm really curious to see what happens, guys.
Yeah.
Pat, you want to go, or you want me to take the next one?
Sure. Mine. I'm just always kind of talking about what Bill was talking about earlier with underdogs early. I'm always curious at the beginning of the season which team I will lock in on for my picks. I like to usually lock in on a team like that's a little bit of an underdog, a little bit of unknown. Like a few years ago, it was San Jose State, and they kept covering for me. And then it was UTSA.
I love that.
UTSA for a while. I tried
the Roadrunners.
The Tulane experience last year was a little hit or miss for me, but I always like to lock in on that one team that I never watched before, and so then I'll try to tune into their games and kind of see what their campus atmosphere is like, because that's big for me. Crowd shots, what kind of people are coming to their games. But I always like to try to find that one team that's sneaky early on in the year and see how long I can ride them.
I love that.
I do too, man. Yeah. There does always seem to be a team or two that, finish the season 11-1, 12-0, 10-2 against the spread, and trying to figure out who that's going to be. That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, the thing that, Pat, as you were describing that, I'm sure you guys have this as well, but do you have those moments where you maybe had a little action on the game, or there was some big moment in a pool or whatever it was that you're in? But you said San Jose State, and it took me back to a specific memory where I had them against Hawaii. And Pat, I was actually with you at Swarty's cabin. And I don't know if you remember me sweating this game so hard, but it was for the high roller pool. It was for, I think it might have been high week or something.
We were in that week too. We were in that too, I think.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So I love how schools will, you mention something and then that takes you back to these moments that we've had with our buddies or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just remember the Hawaii kicker, I believe, missed a field goal at the end of the game. And I remember ripping my shirt off and running around the Swarty's cabin, and everyone's just like, what is Sanders doing?
I think that weekend was mainly spent just trying to figure out Big Earn.
Big Earn.
He's a character.
Big Earn and big time. And then Kazo with the Phil Collins in the air tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the neck,
neck
the vein
veins.
in his neck bulging out. Yeah. So Bierman,
Eric,
I know this. You weren't there for this one, but
yeah,
you're not invited.
Trust you, it was a good time.
It sounds like I wish I was. Sounds like a wonderful weekend. Yeah. All right, so mine, has shades of yours, Bill, in the sense of the changing landscape of college football. For me, it's around NIL and how it continues to transform the game that we all grew up with. It's inevitable. So I'm over all the nostalgic sadness of how things used to be. But I got to tell you, I was very interested to hear last week about Oklahoma State's new NIL strategy. Did you guys hear about this?
No. What's the scoop?
All right. So apparently each Cowboy football player will have a QR code on the back of their helmets and on each player's bag tags. They will be visible in close shots during broadcast and in post-game photos that are posted to social media. According to Coach Mike Gundy, he said, quote, "This is a revolutionary step forward to help keep Oklahoma State football ahead of the game. It gives a chance for everyday fans across the world to have a real impact when it comes to supporting the NIL efforts for Cowboy football. I'm thrilled about this opportunity for our players." For now, it seems like the money goes into a general Oklahoma State athletic NIL fund for the football team overall, and to not specific players for great plays or whatever it might be. But I'm sure that could be coming. So, boy, times certainly are changing, aren't they?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm more of I still haven't got over the nostalgia aspect of it, Eric. Yeah. And next is going to be a bunch of sponsorships on their jerseys, and I struggle with it. A little old school. I get why they're doing it. Yeah. I mean, but it's a big one.
They will not be the only college team this season that does that. I think there will be a dozen other teams by the end of the season that has similar QR codes on their helmets or uniforms.
We should get some QR codes.
Yeah, I was going to say right on our bald heads.
Let's do that.
There you go.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. That was a good look forward. I think some really compelling questions and things to keep our eyes out for as the season unfolds. Sticking with our college football homage with week 1 kicking off, we're going to transition to our top 5. Last week, we talked about 80s movies. Got a lot of good feedback from that one. We're going to keep it college football focused on this segment. And today it's going to be our stadiums or game day environments, our top 5 stadiums or game day environments that you most want to experience for whatever reason that might be. And it has to be a place you've never been to before, but would love to go to someday. So let's do it like we did last week. We'll start with number 5 and 4. We'll give 2 at a time, and then we'll go around at the end with our last pick. So, Pat, you want to start us off again?
Sure. I went with a couple for 5 and 4, a couple big name programs that I just feel like the atmosphere would be amazing. Number 5 was Notre Dame in Touchdown Jesus Land. And then number 4 was the Big House, Michigan. I did a project in Ann Arbor last year, and it just looks like a wonderful place. And had some really good Indian food on the main street. I don't know, what's the main street called there? I can't remember, but it just looked like a cool atmosphere.
Why am I blanking on the main street?
Every college
Dearman,
town.
come on. This is your wheelhouse.
It's State Street. State
Street. Okay. Yeah. Just like Madison's is State Street. All right. But Notre Dame and Michigan for me.
Yeah, I'll tag on there, Bierman, just because mine are. I figured we might have some overlap here, and those both are on my list. I would just add that after experiencing the Horseshoe, and I just happened to be there when they were playing Washington State, which was kind of crazy. That was a whole. I always thought Husky Land was just crazy, and Montlake and Husky Stadium. Awesome setting. I love my team, obviously, and always have fun there. But it was different. There was actual vitriol, like hatred that you could feel for Michigan. And they weren't even playing Michigan. That was what was crazy to me about the Horseshoe, is that I was like, they're playing the Cougars. They're not even, Michigan's not even here. Anyway, that was crazy. But I just feel like it would be similar. I would love to experience that from the Michigan perspective. And so that's one thing I would highlight about the Big House. And Pat nailed all the Notre Dame things for me as well. The only thing I'd add to the Notre Dame one is I hope they lose as well when I'm there watching them.
Yeah.
I've been to both. The Big House is cool. It's a lot of fun to tailgate. It certainly seats the most people, but it's not the most comfortable seats. They are definitely benches. They always joke whenever they want to expand, they just write the numbers a little bit closer together on the benches. So very uncomfortable. And it's not as loud as a lot of other stadiums I've been to. And it is still one of the coolest experiences to have. Notre Dame, absolutely recommend going to Notre Dame. I think I mentioned last week we're going in a couple of weeks for my son to see Miami play Notre Dame. I've been there several times. Great place, great fans, very cool. All right, for me, I'm gonna start with the Hedges down in Athens, Georgia. Never been there. Partially it's for the game. Just would be cool to see one of the best teams in the nation right now, but just to hang out in Athens. I've heard it's a really cool college town. I love college towns. Love to hang out after the game, get some drinks at a local bar, and would love to experience Athens. Number 4 for me, Boomer Sooner, University of Oklahoma. There's nothing else worth seeing in Oklahoma, so I figure they have to put their best foot forward in Norman for these games. They got to make it fun. Tons of tradition. I've heard it's a cool stadium, good fans, good tailgating. Sign me up.
Yeah, I love it.
What do you have for 3 and 2?
3
Pat?
and 2 for me. Number 3, I watched a game last year, and I remember, and this is up in Washington, up in Bill's. I want to head up to see, visit Bill, say hi to the family, maybe stay on his couch for a week. But yeah, Washington. I just feel like I saw some shots last year that they were doing, and it just looks beautiful in the what is that, a bay there? What do you guys call that with the water? Yeah, I thought Washington would be really cool. What is it? The Puget Sound?
It's a sound, isn't
it? The Puget Sound?
Don't they call it a sound?
Well, it's actually on Lake Washington.
Lake Washington. So, it would look beautiful. Look pretty.
Wait.
And go ahead.
Give me 10, 15 minutes. I'll tell you everything about Husky Stadium. I bet you guys, a lot of people want to hear that. The one cool thing that I would say is 2 stadiums in the country you can access by water, and Husky Stadium is one of them. And then I think it's Neyland Stadium. Is that Tennessee Volunteers? Yeah. So those 2 are the ones you can access by water. And I tell you what, sailgating, that's a fun experience. You come in by boat. It's really fun. I absolutely recommend. You guys all know that I would say that, but it is the best stadium in the world.
Nice. And then for number 2, I had SMU. They have this thing called boulevarding. And it's these elaborate tailgating scenes that people set up in tents, and you could just walk around, and it's just this huge elaborate tailgate that I heard was pretty cool. And yeah, SMU looks like a neat stadium too.
That sounds awesome.
But boulevarding, yeah, you should check it out. It's just one big boulevard and you just
love it.
Drinks are flowing everywhere. And you know there's gonna be some ladies. Yeah, that's for certain. So
I've been to Washington. I've been to Tennessee. You're right, Bill. Tailgating is so cool, and both those stadiums are awesome. I've not been to SMU, but I grew up in Dallas. The ladies are not going to disappoint you, Pat.
Eric, do you know what the first movie I took my wife to was when we started dating?
No,
it was The Ladies Man with Tim Meadows. And
I was gonna go with Showgirls.
Yeah, we proceeded to make babies.
Oh,
underrated movie. All right,
that's awesome. All right, Bill, what you got?
Yeah. So one thing I was just going to say too is this process was cool, going through this, because you just so many places that I had been that are so fun. Pat nailed another one. I'm sorry, Eric, it was yours from your last list, and that was Between the Hedges. It just always looks like such a cool thing. Georgia, I think it's been a great place to visit when I have. Super friendly people. I can just imagine that it would be a really good time down there. I put Florida versus Georgia as well, but I'm not sure. Do they still play that? The world's largest outdoor cocktail party? I don't think they call it that anymore.
No,
right. They don't call it that anymore, but maybe I'm hearkening back a little bit there to being a part of that experience. But I just thought, give me Between the Hedges. That's just looks like such a cool thing. And then other two were already covered. So I guess what I'll highlight is as my number 2 would be the Army versus Navy game. And, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, right? I mean, obviously the football is probably not the highest quality in terms of the game, but just having the service academies and that whole pageantry and everything and celebrating our country, I think, and everything that those guys do for the country, in addition to playing football and everything, I just think that would be really a great thing to check off the bucket list at some point.
All right, for me, sorry, Bill. It's Autzen. I gotta experience it someday.
Yeah, it's a great stadium.
We, my son and I were out in Portland last year, and we drove down to Eugene and walked around the outside of Autzen, but I've never been to a game there. It just seems so small and intimate, and
it is.
I've heard it so loud. And I've heard the fans are cool. I don't know if they're nice, but I've heard they're cool. With them in the Big Ten now, I definitely predict me taking a visit out there one of these days to see a Michigan game. So would love to see that. Second is Ole Miss. The Grove is legendary tailgating spot. I have heard. I have heard the quote unquote scenery, Pat, gets no better than this place. I am curious, Pat, where was Ole Miss on that list you referenced earlier?
Arizona
State. Okay, all right. So for me, it's not so much the stadium or the game on that one. It's just the tailgating and walking around, and the Grove is, I think, similar to what you mentioned with the boulevarding with SMU. It seems like there's just this whole patch of people with their tents and their grills and just a lot of cool stuff.
Ole Miss, I don't see on the list. SMU is number 5, though.
Oh. Yeah. Mississippi not on the list. I'm surprised.
I'm surprised by that too.
Pretty good source. I'm sure. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good source. I don't even know.
All right, what do you got for number 1, Pat?
Well, number 1 is the number 1 school on the list, which is Pepperdine University. I don't even know if they have a football team.
Oh my!
If they're number 1, no, and I heard Pepperdine is beautiful, so I'll go watch the Pepperdine women's volleyball, and we're done. That's it.
I actually almost went to Pepperdine. It is the most beautiful college campus I've ever been to. It is in Malibu. I grew up in Texas, but my parents, when I went to Miami, they moved to Southern California, and I thought about possibly transferring out there, and went and looked at Pepperdine. Beautiful, man. That's a good choice, even though they haven't had football in 120 years.
Well, can't win them all.
That is a good choice. Yeah. Pepperdine. I echo everything Eric said. It's just a stunning campus. Yeah, what a beautiful place. So good call there. Mine's a little bit more. I guess I went back to traditional football roots, and I have the Iron Bowl on there. So give me Alabama, Auburn. I know Auburn hasn't been maybe as elite of late, but I'm guessing those two fan bases don't really like each other much. I think you'd get a lot of really good interaction between them as a neutral party down there. So yeah, give me the Iron Bowl, give me the hate, give me Roll Tide, War Damn Eagle. I think it'd be a blast.
I think it would be fun. I thought about Alabama. I hate Alabama, man, and I just couldn't put it on my list. Don't think I have a lot of interest in going to see one of their games. So for me, it is another powerhouse, traditional powerhouse. I had a chance to go to Iowa City a couple years ago, and it was truly one of my favorite football experiences. The stadium, the tailgating, the town, the fans were all just so awesome. I have heard and would expect very similar things from Nebraska, from Big Red fans who are just so hungry for a return to their glory days. I've never been to a game at Memorial Stadium there. I've been to Lincoln. It's a fun town. Similar with Oregon, I do expect being able to make this one a reality for a future Michigan game in the coming years, and I'm excited to do it.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Good topic. Like it.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Well, thanks, boys. And let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about our pools. Bill, what do you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, I mean, what I would love to highlight here is we are literally now 1 week out from the start of the NFL season, I guess, as we record this at least. And so, if people are interested, just remember that we have a variety of formats. We have a variety of entry fees. There's a bunch of different challenges that are there in terms of complexity or not complex. You can set it and forget it type of pools. If you want to just play something for the whole season and have a little bit of money on the line, reach out to me, bill@sandmanpools.com. I can send you any and all of the 18 invites that we have. We make it super easy to join. It's really fun to play. We're adding a whole bunch of new features this year where we're going to try to add a little bit more real-time scoring elements. So you'll actually be able to see probably by the hour in some cases, and even down to the 5 or 10 minutes in with some other pools, how you stack up against the competition, which I think is going to be really fun to see as well. And so we're just really looking forward to it. The sooner that you can RSVP and let me know that you're interested, that really helps on our side get everything prepared. So my one call or my one request is that call to action, like go find the ones that you want to play and send me the note. There's a lot of interest. I think we're going to break records for our pool entries. So the pots should be nice, which is always fun. And it's going to be a blast.
That's awesome. And I know we talked about it last week, but I got to just say, I am so excited about this Touchdown Jesus pool and see how that goes. I think that's going to be a neat one. I love that you're bringing back a lot of player pools. So yeah, 18 pools, check it out. Email Bill and let us know which pools you're going to be playing this year. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, everyone, it is time for the segment that is sweeping America. The segment where 9 out of 10 men would rather listen to over Googling inappropriate pictures of Sydney Sweeney. The segment that prompted my own wife to say, who the hell is this Pat Kleck guy and why is he talking about Summer's Eve? It is time for First Thought, Best Thought. Pat, take it away.
All right, today we have, because everybody loves Ferris Bueller's Day Off, today we have in Bill Sanders. Mr. Sanders, are you ready to go? Bill?
I'm ready.
I want my answers. Sorry. All right, Bill, here we go. Better college football announcer duo, Gary Danielson, Brad Nessler, Joel Klatt, Gus Johnson, or Herb Street and Fowler? Bill?
Yeah, you got to give me Gus. You got to give me Gus Johnson. I just love the guy's energy.
All right. Best sideline reporter, and not because of the insight and injury reports, Aaron Andrews, Sam Ponder, or Michelle Tafoya.
I'm just dying at Bierman dying. Oh, Sam Ponder. Man, I'm brokenhearted that she was like it last week. I just have such a man crush. Not a man crush. No, not a man crush. Not a man crush. I'm all thrown off. Don't even edit that. Don't even edit that. That was an accident. Sam Ponder. Sam Ponder's my pick.
That might be the name of this podcast, this episode now. Sam
Man
Ponder
Crush.
is my man crush.
Eric,
Should be.
Eric, I need you to focus. Best matchup this weekend: Georgia Clemson, Florida Miami, LSU, USC, or Notre Dame Texas A&M.
Yeah, give me the Irish and the Aggies.
You and Beyonce start dating after her and Jay-Z break up. Which sporting event do you take her to? Bill, I need an answer.
Singles ladies tennis. Singles ladies tennis. See what I did there?
You just signed a 4-year, $136 million contract. Besides hookers and blow, how do you spend your money?
Yeah, no hookers and no blow. So for me, I'm going to spend my money on, oh my goodness, I don't know, lots of pools.
Good. All right. Well, Bill, you got that one right because I didn't really have an answer for that one.
Good. So I got one. I have one right
you did very
2
well.
weeks.
You and Beyonce.
Okay.
I said U.S. Open tennis. You got that one right. That's a good call.
There we go. Singles ladies tennis.
Best matchup, I had Georgia Clemson. I just, I think, will Georgia dominate again? And with the suspended players and how that's all going to work, it's going to be a good one. But who'd you say? You said?
I said Notre Dame and the Aggies.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think
that's a good
gonna
one,
be
too. That'll be a fun
game.
one. That one I'm actually looking forward to.
Like Bierman said, there's a lot of good games this weekend.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
Best sideline reporter, yes, of course, Sam Ponder.
Love Sam.
And then the college football duo, I had Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt, for sure. Love Gus Johnson. But they're all good. I like all three of those. So good job. You got 4 of 5.
Is that 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, that's a solid comeback after last week. I got shut out.
Very impressive, my friend.
I don't think I can do
Bierman, that's tough.
We're gonna switch it up and go to the ladies' man, cause that's what people call Eric the Beer Man. Is the ladies' man. Eric, are you ready? And are you listening? And do you like to do it in the butt?
I can't tell if you are doing the ladies' man or the water boy because they seem very similar to me.
All right,
but keep going.
More wins this year: Pittsburgh, Dallas, or Buffalo.
Oh, I'm going Dallas Cowboys. They're my Super Bowl champ pick.
That's stupid. Which statement is more true? Florida State will have a bad season, or Georgia Tech?
I think Florida State will have a bad season.
Okay. A better pro football announcer duo: Eli and Peyton, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, also not to be confused with Cavatier.
So, unlike most people, I actually really like Tony Romo. I love Jim Nantz. That's who I'm going with.
Okay. Your favorite team loses its starting quarterback. Who do you want to see off the bench? Is it Justin Fields, Michael Penix, or Zach Wilson?
Well, I can't go with Justin Fields because he went to Ohio State and he sucks. I'll go with Michael the Penix.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Big
Everybody
Penix
loves
energy.
the Penix. Final question for you, my friend Eric. You are starring in an adult film. Would you rather be the pizza delivery guy, a plumber, or a stepbrother?
I'm going to go with plumber because I just feel like there's some good lines with pipes that could probably be used in my scene.
Not a good week for you, Eric. Eric, more wins this year. Pittsburgh, solid D. Tomlin never goes under 500. Which statement? Florida State. I think Florida State defense looked awful, and you can't trust DJU. So you got that one wrong as well.
Wait, I said Florida State was going to be bad.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you that one then. Fine. You get
one.
He
did. Yeah, he gets that one.
Better pro football announcer duo.
You get one.
I had all 3 are bad, but give me Eli and Peyton. Your favorite team loses a starting quarterback? Yeah, the Penix, for sure. He can sling it, and he's more accurate than Fields. And then you're starting to fill pizza, free pizza. Why you get pizza? You get to eat the pizza. Yeah. Pizza delivery guy for sure.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Congratulations, Bill.
All right, well, Bill, congratulations.
I'm back. Can't wait. I like the ladies, man. That was good.
Yeah, I also like the
I like that.
ladies on ice for 13.
Just to be very clear, I also like the ladies, not the man crush.
Yeah.
Bit.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, sadly, we are reaching the end of our podcast, and it is going to be time to exit CNMN Sports here in just a moment. Want to thank all of our listeners. We have our second episode under our belt. Please go visit us at our website, enter cnmnsports.com. Lots of articles, videos, CNMN legend picks, a lot of cool stuff. Check us out. Just launched this week. Follow us on X at _CNMN Sports, and like us and follow us on Facebook at Enter CNMN Sports.
And click on
any closing thoughts
click
from
on
you
our
two
QR
gentlemen?
code.
Yes, those will be coming next week. We will have QR codes on our faces, on our video. Good to go.
Man, I can't wait for next week when we can break down some picks and talk about next week's picks. I think it's going to be fun to get into that rhythm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Next
These
week,
first two have been fun though.
Yeah, we got the NFL, we got the pool starting. Gonna be fun.
Yeah, my approach.
All right. CNMN, Pat, great to see you boys. Take care.
Yep.
Thanks, Spearman. Good job, Pat.